Just fucking pissed off, dude. I'm pissed off. Just so pissed off. That's what my brother was like when I used to live with him when I was in my teens and 20s. And he was always angry about something, so much that we called him the pissed off dude all the time. Now you might be asking, Marcus, what does it have to do with sobriety? What does that have to do with hitting rock bottom? And we're going to talk to you about that right now. We're going to answer the big question of, does an alcoholic need to hit rock bottom in order to stay sober? And we're starting right now. All right, so hello and welcome back to TalkSober.com. My name is Marcus, and if you're new here, you're going to want to hit the subscribe button so that you get all the videos and tools that I put out for you to help you stay sober. And today what we're doing is we're talking about, does an alcoholic need to hit rock bottom? Rock bottom. Right? Does an alcoholic need to hit rock bottom? Now, this is one of the things you're going to see in lots of recovery literature, on recovery TV shows like Intervention and stuff like that. They say that an alcoholic needs to hit the very bottom of the barrel, can't get out of the gutter in order to stay sober. Now, this is a common myth, and I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from a lot of the 12-step recovery type stuff. Now, you have to remember the 12-step recovery stuff is good. It does help people stay sober. However, it's not perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. But in the culture of the 12-step recovery programs, what they talked about is a thing called, I'll put it over here, a spiritual awakening. Okay? A lot of people get irritated because they talk about this spiritual awakening thing. Okay, so they have over here this spiritual awakening, and I probably should have put rock bottom over here. So let's move this a little bit. All right, we'll put rock bottom over here. Okay? That way everything is nice and lined up. So rock bottom over here. Now they say that someone needs to go from rock bottom to a spiritual awakening. And the reason they do this is because in lots of church type things and lots of religious stuff, you have people that get to the depths of what they call depravity, the depths of where they can go as a human, like the guy in the gutter, the guy who's strung out, the guy who has no money, no life, everyone left him, everything like that. That's what they look at rock bottom. Now, a lot of times what they're going to say is that rock bottom is subjective, right? Like rock bottom for me might be having my collapse in a $500,000 house with fancy cars. That might be it. For someone else, maybe rock bottom is the gutter, right? So we got to look at this and we have to say, do these people need to hit rock bottom? And when we look at that, again, the spiritual stuff lines up. They say, hey, look, you know, in order to get born again or have a spiritual awakening, you have to realize the depths of your depravity. And for some people, that means hitting the bottom, nowhere else to go but up. Okay? Now, again, this is subjective, right? For the people who hit the worst rock bottom, there's someone else in life who's gone farther. Now, here's what we got to look at. I don't like the idea of rock bottom because it says that people can't get healthy unless they hit the floor. I don't believe that to be the case. And the reason I don't believe it to be the case is the same reason that I brought up earlier with my brother who was the pissed off dude. Okay, so we have my brother here. And he's like, okay, I am pissed off all the time. 24 hours a day, he's pissed off about something. Luckily now he's done a lot better. He's got a family. He's doing good. But back then he was pissed off. He was angry. Now, he didn't really have to hit a rock bottom. He just came to a realization, okay? Call it spiritual awakening, call it whatever you want, but it's a realization. Now, we look at this guy and we fast forward in his life about 20 years, okay? So about 20 years from the time he was pissed off dude, he now is not as pissed off guy. He's actually doing pretty well. So the question is what happened? Okay, now there were some drugs involved, but I don't think there was any hardcore addiction involved. But when we look at this, we say, okay, rock bottom, do we need to hit it, or do we just need to have an enlightenment, an awakening, some kind of epiphany that goes off? Well, let's take a look at this, because here's pissed off dude and here's Marcus. Okay, this is the old Marcus. This Marcus was, let's say, 6 years ago to 3 or 4 years ago when I got sober. Okay, so 4 years ago, before I got sober, I was the type of person who thought everything was coming at me. I thought life was attacking me, right? Like my grandpa died. I thought that happened to me. I didn't think, well, you know, this is kind of just what happens in life. I thought, wow, this happened to me. How much more shit can I take? I had problems with money. Okay, I thought, man, the world's against me. The government's against me. Everything sucks. It's all against me. right? Family drama happened. Just like this week, I've been dealing with family drama. 4 years ago, if I was dealing with the family drama, I would have said, man, this is happening to me. What are you guys doing to me? What is going on? It's all about me. And I wasn't able to see a way out. We'll put a little face there. Okay, so we got pissed off guy. We got victim Marcus. What was it that causes people to change? And you guys can look at my bookshelf. I have all kinds of books. My life study, ever since I can remember, was all about what is it that makes someone change? Is it the depths of depravity going down as far as you can change? Are we supposed to just let people go as far as they can go? Or is there a way to intervene? Well, let's take a look at this, because I think there's something to the rock bottom thing, and I also think there's something to the spiritual awakening thing, right? Because what happens is we start to notice and we start to change our perspective, right? This is key here, changing perspective. Okay? And you look at people in life, and some people are able to quit drinking just because they want to, right? They might have just as bad of problems, they might have just as bad of things, and they're able to just put it down. Now, many of us, like me and many other people I know and many people in recovery, right, we're not able to do that. We need some kind of outside help. We need something to guide us. We're caught in a loop, and the loop is really bad. So here is rock bottom, okay? Rock bottom is your loop. For me, it was the loop of everything's happening to me. Everything's happening to me. What do? I go drink. Everything happens to me again. I go drink. I go drink. And lower I fall on the scale. Now, why does that happen? Because drinking causes mental issues and insanity. And it happens gradually. So you're up here and you're like, hey man, I just drink to get by, whatever. And then before you know it, you are at your subjective rock bottom, or wherever it is that you say, fuck it, I've had enough, I can't do this anymore. And you either continue on or you get help or whatever it is, you realize you've had enough. And then some people say, well, if they don't get sober, that means they haven't really had enough. For me personally, I think it is different. I think it's that they don't have the tools to get where they want to go. So once someone is fed up and they say, you know what, this is it, I've had it. For me, it happened about, I'm going to say maybe 90 days to 180 days before I got sober. I started to realize I don't want to do it anymore, right? Drinking stopped working for me. Everything was collapsing for me. I was done. I was a mess. I didn't even want to be alive anymore, which is where a lot of people are. Right? So the question is should people have let me go farther? Should there been a worse rock bottom? Or was that it? Now, I could have gone farther. There's a lot of things in my life I could have fucked up a lot worse than I did. So the question is what is it that changes? Well, for me personally, what happened was I got to a point where I said, I can't do this anymore. This isn't working anymore. And then I started to come to a realization, and I came to the realization at first very fast. And the realization is that nothing matters if I am insane. Nothing matters if I'm insane. If I don't have my mental facility to make choices, then nothing else matters, because that is the baseline. Okay, so we got to look at it. We got to say, okay, rock bottom for many could be insanity. Okay, temporary insanity, permanent insanity, whatever you call it. Now, luckily for most alcoholics, it's just temporary, and it fades once you get clean, once you get sober, and once you start to learn a new way of life. Now, this is why they talk about this, right? The rock bottom and the spiritual awakening is a new way of life. Okay? Because for many of us, we have a lot of issues that we drink to cover up. We have a lot of things that we're running from. We have a lot of things that are going on. And what we need to do is we need to start to realize a new way of life. Instead of walking around saying, I'm pissed off, dude, why don't you say, how can I make a life that I don't have to escape from? If you're walking around saying, everything happens to me, I'm a victim of everything, the taxes are too high, the money's too low, this, whatever, everyone hates me. Okay, if you're walking around with that victim mentality, you need to change the perspective, and you need to start to realize there is a new way of life. So whatever you've been telling yourself, or whatever the alcoholic in your life has been telling yourself, we got to look at this and we have to say, what perspective am I looking at this? Is there another view? And as I was telling people years ago that some people were like, hey, that really helps. One of the things is there's always a third option. There's always a third option, okay? Do I let him hit rock bottom, or do I take him to recovery now, or whatever? Okay, there's always a third option. Do I sell my house? Do I get divorced? Whatever. There's always a third option. And we got to look for that third option, because as alcoholics and addicts, we tend to be stuck. We tend to see the world as black and white, as yes and no. Okay? And we look at things this way and we get trapped. Now, the secret here is that when you look at things black and white, you tend to live in this middle zone, which is the zone of no action. Okay, so where you're saying, well, you know, for me, I used to get in fights with my wife and I'd be like, do I need to get a divorce? Yes or no? And I'd stew about this and I'd ask questions about this and I'd dwell on it, all the while doing absolutely nothing to make it better. So what we got to do is we got to step outside of all the chaos. Because right now your life might be filled with chaos. You might feel like you're headed to a rock bottom, and you might be. But the fact of the matter is you can say, I can get help right now. Because getting help right now is what's going to change you. And you have to be ready to make it work. You have to be ready for a new life. And you have to be ready to say, I'm ready to learn new tools. And it's not because you're crazy, bad, terrible person. You're just lacking the tools because no one ever gave them to you. Unfortunately for me, it took me 37 years or 36 years to finally start to get these tools, right? To finally start to understand this stuff and get a different perspective and say life is not all about things happening to me. There's 8 billion other people on the earth that things are happening to. There's other people in my family that the same thing is happening to. Just this week, I was getting in arguments with my family, my dad, stepmom, everything like that. Right? And we get in these arguments with our family, and it's easy to say, well, this is happening to me. They hate me. They don't love me. They don't like me. Or I could change my perspective, and I could say, this is the way they've always been. It's no surprise. It's no change. This is how they've always been. It's not personal. If there was a different kid, it would have happened to the same person. If there's a different adult, they'd be yelling at that adult. I know, because when I step away, someone else is getting yelled at. The best thing to do is get away. So the question here is, what do we do with this information? What do we do with this, okay? How do we get this new way of life? How do we get this spiritual awakening? Well, first of all, what we got to do is we've got to realize our problem. We got to say, look, I got a problem. It's taking me down. Am I going to wait until it's too late? Because for so many alcoholics, it's too late, right? So many of them, they die on the freeway in crashes. They die of health problems due to alcohol. They die because of terrible things they do to themselves because of alcohol. But alcohol keeps you in this insanity loop, and it doesn't let you out. And if you think you don't have a problem with alcohol, go ahead and try to stop. That's the number one thing. You might be able to stop for a week, 2 weeks, or whatever, but you always go back to it. Now, the key is to look at it and say, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. I don't need to wait until I've lost everything to make a change. I can decide to make a change right now. And right now you might be vulnerable. You might not have all the answers. You might not know how to fix things. You might not have the means to get away from whatever toxic relationships you're in. You might not have the means to go and figure this stuff out. You might not even know what a spiritual awakening is. You might even think that spiritual awakening is stupid because you think about the Bible and you think about all this stuff instead of thinking about what it actually is, which is a change in perspective. Because here we have our lives and we have where we live from, right? Here we have Pissed Off Dude, and he lives from a world of pissed off. And that's how he starts. He starts his day saying, I'm pissed off, the world owes me, this fucking sucks. That's how he starts. We have this guy, old Marcus. He starts his day as a victim. I need to do this. Oh, whatever I do is not going to be enough. I'm terrible. I'm not good enough. Life's not good enough, whatever. And he tells himself this, and this is where he's living from. But when you change your perspective and you start to look at things differently, you can live from a place of abundance and live from a place that is full of love and care and comfort and kindness. You can live there. It doesn't take alcohol to get to where you're at that place. You can learn new tools and you can look at it and say, you know what? Life is going. I don't need to make any rash decisions. I don't need to do anything right now, but I do need to get help now. I do need to do something to get better, and I do need to start to change my perspective and realize what's going on. And I realize this is kind of hard to hear because for me, I would look at this back then and I'd be like, well, shit, I'm a victim of another thing. I don't even have these tools. I don't even have this stuff. And it just goes over and over and over again. And what I'd like to invite you to do is pause and relax and think about your life. Think about what could be. Because as fast as things can go downhill to rock bottom, that's how fast they can go up as well. Now, you might not get everything you want in life, and that's fine, because you're going to learn to live from a place where you're okay instead of pissed off or victimized or angry or sad. You're going to learn a new way of life, and you're going to learn that there's always a third option. There's always something else that can be done. There's always something you can look for. And you just have to do the work. And what's going to happen as a result of doing all this stuff and realizing what's going on is your perspective is going to change, and you're going to have what they call a spiritual awakening. You're going to awaken to the fact that you are not the center of the universe. You are not the center of anything. You're just you. You're just one of 8 billion people on the planet. And this could be very depressing. Oh, I'm only one of 8 billion people. Or it could be very liberating, seeing I'm one of 8 billion. We're here. We're in it together. I'm here to do the best that I can with the tools I've been given. And I'm going to go get some more tools, and I'm going to do better. And I'm going to live the life that I want. And I'm going to get help and get out of alcoholic insanity. I don't need to wait till I hit rock bottom. I can make a choice to get help now. And I got to tell you, there's no perfect time, right? There's no perfect time to go to rehab. You look on TV and there's these celebrities going on yachts to rehabs, and, you know, they get pampered and rubbed with feathers and things like that. Okay, that time's probably not going to happen. For me, I went to a rehab that wasn't the best, most posh place in the world, but it got the job done. Do what you need to do to get the job done. Don't wait till it's too late, because that is a black and white decision. That's something you got to say, it's time to get help, and it's time to stick with it, and it's time to learn and grow. Today is the day that you can make a change. Today is the day that you can start to be different. Today is the day you can change your mind. And a lot of times you look at it, like when I was going through this stuff, I looked at it as if I was a victim of everything, and I was a victim of my own thoughts. I thought that these thoughts were coming at me and I couldn't do anything about it, and they were attacking me. When in reality, all your thoughts are is chemical impulses in the brain. And when you pour alcohol on the chemical impulses in your brain, you have a recipe for disaster. So take a breath, take a breather. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your life doesn't need to be rebuilt in 5 minutes either. But you do need to get some help, and you need to focus on what's going to get you out of the insanity, because I don't want to see you get to the worst rock bottom, because when you hit the rock bottom, if you hit it so hard, it's going to shatter and you're going to find a new rock bottom, and you might not want to be there, and you might not be able to make it out of what comes next. And the fact of the matter is, you might be looking at it saying, well, how do I get treated? How do I go do something? What are people going to think? Forget about all that and focus on you, because the fact of the matter is things in your life might seem really, really big right now. Right? Money, getting help, going away 30 days if you do something like that. And the fact of the matter is it's not that big. In the grand scheme of life, it's a sliver. And it's a sliver that if you use it wisely, if you take that chance and say, I'm going to make myself better, I'm going to learn, I'm going to get the tools that I need to stay sober and live this new life, and I'm going to do it 100%. I'm not going to fluff around here. And then you're going to realize that, hey, you know what? It's a sliver in my life, but that was the best sliver because I decided to make a change and do something better. And I believe that you can be much more than what you're struggling with right now. We are not the sum of our struggles. We're not the sum of our thoughts. We're not the sum of our actions. We're not the sum of what's been done to us or what we've done to others, something more. And that's what it's about, is understanding that you are something more, whatever that looks like. If it's, going to the Bible, if it's looking at the AA book, if it's, reading Eastern mysticism, or whatever it is for you, make it work and make it yours and follow it 100%. Stop giving in to the lies that alcohol is telling you. Stop waiting for rock bottom and go get some help now. My name is Marcus, and this is TalkSober.com. If you need help, go to TalkSober.com/help. We got some tools and resources for you to get help, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you in your new sober life, and maybe one day meeting you guys too. That'd be kind of cool as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe, check out our other videos, and again, don't wait till rock bottom. Get help now. If you're watching these videos, you probably know you need it. Like, people don't just wake up and type the things in Google that you typed in, right? You were looking for this for a reason. Don't let that go to waste. Don't let the alcohol talk you out of this, because for so many years, or however long you've been in alcohol addiction, it's been controlling your mind. It's time to get away. Thanks again for watching. I'm Marcus. Subscribe. Click the little bell notification icon. Come see us when we have our live streams, and I'll see you.